tanggal sa VAT ng various drugs including for cancer, depression, and so on. Anyway, we'll wait for him siguro. In the meantime, simulan natin kay Director General Panga. What can you tell us about yung status ng foreign investment sa kaya? Parang dito na pala si Dr. Samuel Sakate. Andito na rin siya. Dr. Samuel Sakate ng Food and Drug Administration. Anyway, let's start with yung tungkol sa PESA. Ano yung investments na pumasok na at ina-expect na natin.
Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Siguro po simulan ko muna na a little backgrounder about our agency, the Philippine Economic Zone Authority. So, mangyari po, kami po yung ahensya sa gobyerno na nag-designate ng areas all over the Philippines as economic zones. So, we were created in 1995. If you recall, we had this predecessor in EPSA, in what we call Export Processing Zone Authority, established in 1969 by then President Ferdinand Marcos Sr. So we were second in Taiwan, in the region next to Taiwan to have experimented with the eco zones. So since 1969, in 1995 we were created, and so since then we were responsible for the creation of economic zones all over the country. Sa ngayon, meron na tayong 422 operating economic zones. Ito po ay iba-ibang economic zones. Meron tayong manufacturing, meron tayong agro-industrial, tourism, meron tayong IT/BPM, and all these 422 operating economic zones are home to more than 4,300 export-oriented locator companies. So we happen to be a big contributor to the economy, almost 17% of the country's GDP, more than 50%, 50 to 60% of the total country's exports of goods and services come from locators of PESA alone. So ngayon nang si Presidente, when the President assumed into office, yung at the time in 2022, we were recovering from COVID pandemic. So when the President assumed into office, second half of his administration, we were able to quickly recover, achieving 103% increase in investments. So nangyari po ito nung umupo si Presidente. In 2023, we even achieved a higher investments. 25% growth, 175.7 billion pesos. So from 140.7 na base figure natin in 2022, in 2023, 25% increase, 175.7 billion pesos. So, madalas po tayo natatanong how much of these investments can we attribute to the travels of the President. So, we run the figures, simpleng pasihan lang, ito yung mga pinuntahan ng mga bansa ni Presidente. So, from our running of the figures, easily 43% of our 175.7 billion pesos or roughly 75 billion pesos easily can be attributed to the presidential visits. Although, nasabi na ho namin, ang pananaw ho namin dyan, it doesn't have to be tied up to the presidential visits kasi practically lahat ng pumapasok na investments, lalo na yung mga foreign direct investments, we can very well attribute to the incumbent president at current administration. So, ganun kami ka-bullish ngayon. Kahapon nagkaroon kami ng board meeting. And for March, ngayon pa lang po, if you will allow me, I will now share with the media our approval just yesterday, our board meeting, we added another 2.854 billion pesos. 2.854 billion pesos, which is 21.8% higher than the same period last year at 2.343 billion pesos. So, if we will sum up our first quarter performance, January to March, already, January to March, 14.951 billion pesos in investments. 14.951 billion pesos in investments, which is 19.25% higher than 12.537 billion pesos achieved in the same period last year. So all our indicators are up for exports and employment. Isang pangitahin ho na tuloy-tuloy ho ang upward trajectory na nakikita natin for 2024, which is something that we will expect for 2024 and onwards, because the Philippines happens to have the highest GDP growth rate in ASEAN. Since 22 po, for 3 years in a row now, that makes the Philippines one of the best performing economies in the region. Salamat po.
Director, pardon my innocence of ignorance. PESA came from EPSA. Did I get it right na sa paglipat from EPSA to PESA, ang kinikita niyo sa mga PESA accredited industrial park ay hindi lamang for export?
Tama po yan. Although ang PESA ho kilala na we've been catering to export-oriented industries, when CREATE was passed into law, it now empowered IPAs, including PESA, to register even domestic market-oriented projects. So, kasama na po yan sa mga nire-register natin sa PESA.
So primarily, ang added attraction ng PESA accredited industrial park is ease of doing business.
Tama po, tama po. Ease of doing business, somehow, it is a renowned brand of service for PESA. Hindi lang ho tayo, we were not just cited by IFC World Bank. Nandyan ang Colliers saying that PESA is the preferred location for BPOs. We were cited by Bloomberg saying that PESA is a unique factor for the Philippines in terms of FDI attraction. Only recently, in time for the visit of the US delegation, US Trade Mission, naglabas ho ng investment climate statement ang US International Trade Administration. This is a reiteration of its earlier findings in 2020 by the US Department of State, saying that in the economic zones, yung business environment is totally better. So, yan po yung findings po.
Meron po akong nakikita pag nagdadrive, may mga building na nakalagay, PESA accredited. So meaning off-site siya, pero enjoying the perks and privileges being PESA accredited. Yun po ba yung pinagpapatuloy nyo?
Tuloy-tuloy po yan. Ito yung tinatawag natin na vertical economic zones. Ito na po yung nag-cater sa IT-BPM, which is somehow seamless because 24/7 kung ganitong nature ng services, BPM. So, yung dating horizontal, ginawa natin vertical kasi nga, ito talaga ideally ang locations ito nasa city center sa metropolis. Ito po yung IT-BPM natin.
So, hindi po madalang yung nakikita natin na parang mayroong building na may tuturing na island of order in the sea of disorder, being PESA accredited.
Well, opo. In fact, nung pinasok po natin yan, this was totally new to us in 2000. And because of that, in very short span of time, yung IT-BPM is now our biggest job generator. In fact, na-double yung sa employment generation ng manufacturing. From 600,000 direct, easily may 1.2 million na tayo sa BPOs natin.
Ano ko lang kasi basic ng PESA ito, ano po, naging controversial kasi ito. Meron mga locator sa PESA na pag kinumpit mo yung bilang ng mga tauhan, 80% wala sa PESA. Dahil primarily gawa ng work from home phenomenon, ng pandemic. Pero meron din mga factory na nakalagay dyan, ina-outsource. Ano ho ang stand dito ng PESA? Kasi ito yata yung naging concern din ng delegation ng mga Amerikano nagpunta sa Pilipinas. Pwede ba ang head office ay PESA located, PESA accredited, enjoying the same privileges, pero yung factories nila ipapasubcontract nila sa labas na mag-enjoy pa rin sila ng privilege.
Opo, i-explain ko po yan. Magkaiba ho yung activity ng manufacturing sa IT.
Yeah.
So yung IT na yan, sinasabing work from home, applicable lang po yan sa IT. We don't see it happening sa manufacturing kasi hindi mo pwedeng ilabas yung manufacturing process mo. So, balikan mo natin yung IT na nagkaroon ng COVID pandemic just so that we can sustain yung economic activity ng IT BPM natin, gawa ng they cater to the global market. Pinayagan po ng gobyerno na mag-undertake ng work from home. So, sa ngayon, ang naging decision ng government through a DOJ opinion, ang pwede lang ho mag-work from home ay yung mga BOI companies outside of PESA. So somehow nadihado kami doon, but we don't mind it. Kasi ang talagang as a general rule, ang PESA, for anyone to be entitled to incentives, it must conduct its activity inside the economic zone. So ang naging policy ng PESA, because of that, yung adherence to the minimum 70% export threshold, ang gusto sabihin, for as long as you're able to export 70%, you're allowed to do 30% local sales, which we apply to the work from home. So, binigyan mo natin ng 30% work from home allowance. Yan ho yung sa IT. Pagdating sa manufacturing, yung outsourcing, hindi ho natin pinoprohibit yan. Kasi yan yung sinasabi natin na enhancing yung linkage ng economic zones with the domestic market. In fact, that is what we want to happen. Integration ng local market into the ecozone value chain. Kasi imagine kung lahat ng activities ng economic zones ay sa loob lamang at wala sang outsourcing sa labas, hindi yung makakapag-participate yung mga local producers natin doon sa activities ng mga export-oriented locators natin. So, establish ang taxation ho dyan. Anything that goes out, meron ho tayong kaakibat na documentation. But yung outsourcing kasi walang transfer of ownership, wala hong sale involved. So eventually, pag prinosis sa labas, babalik po yan sa loob ng economic zone. So, hindi ho pinagbabawal yan. Pag-push, ito po ay lalo natin ina-encourage. Later on, si Dr. Sakate will also explain how we intend to integrate yung mga local producers into the ecozone value chain so that they will form part of the ecosystem of the economic zone.
Nakakagulat na 422 pala yung export processing zones. I remember sa Baguio, meron dating as early as 1980s, meron dyan Texas Instruments, di ba? Timex. Pero wala na ngayon.
Andyan pa ho yan. Mangyari nung EPSA, nakapaggawa ho sila ng 16 economic zones. Yung out of 16, 4 ho doon yung pioneer na public. Ito na ho yung Baguio, Bataan, yung araw, yung Cavite, sa Mactan. Mangyari na assign din ho ako sa Baguio, 4 na taon po ako doon. Nandun ngayon yung Texas Instruments, yung MOG. 30 years na po yan, nandito pa rin sa Pilipinas. So, sabihin ko lang ho yung breakdown ng mga economic zones ho natin. Meron ho tayong 300 IT parks and buildings, 78 manufacturing, 24 agro-industrial parks, 17 tourism, and 3 medical tourism ecozones.
So yung mga figures na yan, makikita nyo rin sa website na if you need to get accurate figures.
Posted po, nandiyan po yung kasama ko, si Jillian. So, any information you want, available po sa kanya.
At this point, mamaya na tayo magtanong tungkol sa PESA. At this point, punta natin ang FDA, Food and Drug Administration. Ang latest na balita dyan, o recent na balita, tinanggal na yung VAT sa ilang ilang diseases. Ano yung dyan?
Basically, the exemption for VAT is through a law, yung PA law. So those medicine has been declared by the FDA, endorsed to the BIR para matanggal yun or mawala yung kanilang VAT. Basically, sa continuing process eh. So, kung na yung mga essential medicines sakop ng batas, usually mga anti-hypertensive, anti-diabetic, Basically, for the Filipino people, yun yung mga pang-araw-araw ninyong iniinom. Yung mga, ating may mga sakit, chronic diseases. Hindi lang po doon natatapos yung listahan. So, it's a continuing evolving process. And as we increase the list, we also decrease the list. Kasi last time I issued a endorsement to the BIR, delisting some of the equipments or the items that was used during the pandemic. And since it was not, we lifted the public health emergency, there's no need for them to be VAT exempted. So, kasama po yan sa batas. So, kung yung tanong po ninyo, ito po ba ay ginawa lang ng FDA? Ito ba? But it is a mandate by the law. And it will be a continuous process. Basically, kung ano po yung na-approve namin, kung ano yung na-reflect sa CPR, with is anti-hypertensive or anti-diabetes, pinapasok namin yun. But until the final say will be the BIR. We only endorse it to the BIR. Kasi kami po yung nagde-determine kung ano para saan talaga yung gamot eh. So BIR magsasabi kung paano yung mekanismo, kung paano tatanggalin yung. So it's a joint process by the FDA and the BIR.
So kung matitira na lang po ang discount yung senior citizen,
Actually, ang ganda nga nung batas na yun kasi as far as I know is on top pa yung senior citizen discount. So, kung VAT exempted siya senior citizen, it will help a lot. Lalo na yung mga elderly, saka yung may mga chronic diseases. Thus, recently, I re-emphasize po yung main guidelines for the availment of the senior citizen. Actually, it was been there for many years. Re-emphasize ko lang kasi I've been bombarded by complaints that hindi daw na-acknowledge yung ibang mga reseta. Gusto daw nila kasi over-the-counter kasi na medicines, they require prescription for them to be acknowledged para mag-senior citizen. Eh wala naman po kasi doon sa administrative order. So, I re-emphasize na huwag nyo na pong hanapan kasi una-una, kaya nga po over-the-counter yan. Hanapan mo ng prescription drug. Although the pharmacy stores are telling that the people are tend to abuse kasi ano nga daw nila, ginagamit yung senior citizen. But sabi ko we talk about it, meron naman mga booklet para for you to monitor. So we just re-emphasize kung ano talaga yung existing guidelines and for strict compliance. And after this, I will issue a parang placard to call on them. Post nila yan sa mga kanilang retail outlet. So that the patient o yung mga nag-a-avail na senior citizen, alam nila yung karapatan nila. No, aside from the local media pronouncement namin, alam din nila yung karapatan nila na dapat pala talaga walang prescription. No, then we can avail also with the over-the-counter medicine.
Magkano yung mababawas sa VAT ng essential drugs? Ilang percent? 12%?
Kasi pag but yun nga po, outside on top pa yung senior citizen. So dapat implemented strictly. So pag may mga complaint na ganyan, it will be a violation of the senior citizen law. It's not a violation of the RA 9711 for which the FDA emerged. So if they want to complain, lalo na yung ating mga nag-a-avail ng senior citizen discount, just complain to us, then we will call upon the pharmacy store.
sa Doc, ang mensahe niya pag hindi ibinigay yung nararapat na discount sa senior citizen at yung pag-aalis ng VAT under credit loan. Ang maigsin yung mensahe, may kulong ito. Hindi lang ito administrative
Basically po, pagka nag-issue na po yung BIR, automatic na VAT exempted na po yun.
Yes.
So pag binenta yun, automatic yung VAT exempted. Huwag nyo na po hingin ng VAT exempted yun. VAT exempted yun automatic. Pero yung hihingi nyo po yung exemption for the senior citizen discount. So, strict yung implementation. Yeah, ulitin ko, it's been a issue. Kahit yung mga ibang establishment na they do not issue yung karapatan ng ating ng mga senior citizen. So, as the Director General of the FDA, I want to re-emphasize that. I will strictly enforce that.
Doc, looking forward, baka maging parang Starbucks yan. Hindi pwedeng bumili ng marami. Para sa senior citizen discount, ang pwedeng bilhin isang tasang kape lang o binibigyan ng discount. Paano yung matanda na madalang makapunta ng butika? Minsan namimili sila ng gamot good for 1 month, 2 months. Hindi pinapayagan ito ng butika as of now. Kasi akala ibinibenta ng matanda yung gamot. At nag-aabi lamang ng 20% off.
Yung sinasabi ko po na prescription, is for the over-the-counter.
Yes, yes.
Pero if you will avail for the antibiotics, which is a prescription medicine, they must show a prescription. And doon pa lang sa prescription na yon, as a doctor, kasi yun ang practice namin, we call that yung parang dispensing. May number yan, o ilan. Hindi kami usually, meron kami limit sa medicine practice na hindi namin pwedeng ibigay lifetime. Kasi napapasuko yung prescription may date yan. So usually good for 1 month ang binibigay namin for the prescription medicine. But over the counter, you don't need the prescription medicine. Bakit? Example, let's be practical about it. Diba? For example, si nanay, si tatay, nagkaroon ng ubusipon. Diba? Usually, di naman magpapacheck up yun right there kasi mag-home remedy yan muna. So, with regards to nakuha abuso o nag-i-impok, they have booklets for that. They can monitor it. May kita naman yun.
Pero exactly tinatanong ko yung sa mga OTC. Kasi meron talagang merong butika na ayaw magbenta ng marami sa senior citizen. Nililimitahan nila. Ganun din parang, McDonald's, Jollibee. 5 kayong magkakasama, yung senior citizen ng 2, hindi bibigay ng lahat ng may discount. Baka ganyan din ang gawin At ganun ang ginagawa kayo sa mga butika.
Actually, may we have the drug indication label sa lahat ng mga gamot. For example, sa sipon, we have the maximum 5 days for the treatment of medicine. Hindi na mo na kinakailangan itanong sa doktor yun kasi ang mismo ang pharmacist, alam na rin nila yun So, sila mismo, kung sabi humingi si lolo o si lola, kailangan ko ng niyot So, for example, for sa sipon, kailangan ko ng 100 piraso niyan. Alam din ng pharmacist yun, hindi mo kailangan yun. So, they can also regulate, nanay, kailangan lang po niyan, lola, is usually 5 days, yan lang po yung kailangan nito. Pero of course, after nun, hindi pa rin nawala, doon papasok ko if symptom persist, consult your doctor. So, kaya nga po ang indication, kaya lang po nagawa yung over-the-counter medicine is to reduce po yung consultation at the same time to empower the patient na mag-self-medicate, lalo na pag hindi naman po grabe yung nararamdaman ninyo. Pero pagka yan po ituloy-tuloy at nangyayari, kinakailangan yun magpakonsulta sa doktor. So, yeah, they can do that actually. Kasi pag suspicious na, ba't naman 100 piraso usually yung mga araw, 3 times a day, it's a common knowledge from all of us
Nandito rin si Maria Cecilia Matienzo ng FDA. Ano yung pwede niya masabi tungkol dito?
Director Cecilia Manches is the head of the medical device. So she's an integral part of the pharma, so that will be discussed later. So the FDA and the PESA is a love made in heaven. So talagang yan ang namin yan, partner namin. But before the sectoral meeting, the President told us that before we do the pharma zone, and if we talk about pharma zone, it's pharmaceuticals only for drug. But it must, I told the President, it must be holistic. So, kasi ang healthcare, it does not involve only a drug. It also involves medical device. Ibig sabihin na medical device, example, sa orthopedic, pag nabalihan kayo ng buto, di ba may bakal yun? Yung mga ganon. So, dapat holistic ang approach, not only for the medicine, but also the supply of the hospital. And then, kumbaga, kung gagawa na lang din kami ng isang bagay, sagad din na namin. So, andyan po si Director Cecil, kasi, for the part ng medical device, she will formulate the policy so that it will be incorporated sa pharma dev zone na. Dati pharma zone lang. Kaya dev, pharmaceutical device zone. So, dalawa na siya.
Tanong natin si Director. So, makakakita na po kami ng syringe na made in the Philippines, o yung mga yung mga saklay na made in the Philippines at hindi na made in China. Natupad yung plano nyo. Ganun po.
Yeah, encourage yun natin yung mga local production ng mga medical devices, and we have one project na to encourage the production of local devices that will cater to more on the rural areas. Kasi the healthcare usually nakafocus sa urban. So yung sa rural naman, marami na tayong mga researchers din na gumagawa ng medical devices, so might as well encourage them to do some medical devices naman na will cater the rurals to improve the healthcare delivery system sa rural areas.
Ano po ba yung mga devices na pangunahing kailangan sa ating bansa na pwedeng makunan sa programa po ninyo ng PESA?
Depende yan sa sa capability ng ating mga researchers. So, for example, yung sinasabi naming project, marami sa rural natin, wala pa rin kuryente. mahirap ang sasakyan. So for example sa isang baby na premature, so incubator, we need incubator. Pero kung wala ka namang kuryente sa rural, wala ring gamit ang incubator. So we encourage researchers to do something that will mimic the wound of a woman, na pwede mong ibaba yung baby, a premature baby, down to the nearest referral hospital. So yun yung mga challenges sa mga researchers natin na nagsisimulang mag-ano ngayon through yung biomedical engineering concept na under naman yun ng DOST. No? So we partner with other research agencies for this one.
Kasi nagtataka kayo siguro bakit na-formulate yung Pharmadensone, no? So, I will give a brief history regarding it. So, during the pandemic kasi, as you know, nagkaroon tayo ng problema noon, di ba? Ultimong gamot sa sipon, ultimong paracetamol, wala tayong mabili. So, what we thought with the President when we talk about it, because the medicine rely heavily on importation. And nakita natin, nagulat tayo sa katotohanan, kapag may pandemya pala at meron palang emergency ng health tungkol sa ganito, each country will look on themselves. And during that time, hindi capable o hindi masyado madami yung mga drug manufacturer natin. And it will be the source sana ng mga gamot that are essential for the pandemic. So yun po yung yun po yung lesson learned during the pandemic na kinakailangan natin punan. Dahil ayaw na natin maulit talaga yun. Kasi during the time we rely heavily on the importation, there will come a time that we will be dependent on them. And kailangan po natin dito sa Pilipinas is self-sustainability, drug accessibility, self-sustainability. And kapag marami po sa merkado, no, import and locally produced, syempre of course, the normal process for it is that the prices will drop. So yun po yung role ng FDA po dito. Kasi regulatory kami, we don't regulate the price. We only regulate the product. If we do come in the product we produce locally, tataas yung maraming gamot available for you, for the Filipino peoples, and the prices will go down. It's a basic tenet. If the supply is above a high, the demand will be low. And the supply is above, the competition will be great, bababa lahat ng presyo, win-win situation po lahat ng Pilipino. That's why the formulation of Pharmadensone is very crucial for the healthcare system. Sabi ko nga kanina, it's a love made in heaven with PESA. So what will happen here is that we will streamline all the process. We're ongoing right now. No? We will increase the prolongation of the CPR or the LTO, two of the very necessary licenses for the pharmaceutical and medical device stakeholders. At the same time, we will tailor fit, not already tailor fit, without compromising the safety and efficacy of the products. We tailor fit for them to comply. And because the PESA is already, we will focus on exportation and the part of is for domestic use. Nag-usap na kami nung nakaraang linggo and we formulated how to do it. No? So, this not only with PESA, FDA, it also involves the Office of the President, it also involves the ARTA, it also involves the Bureau of Customs. That's why Special Assistant to the President, Federico, will be on top of it. And then we will have a technical working group that has been already started since last week. So we will conceptualize, kumbaga sa ngayon, sa tao, may skeleton na po kami. Susunod natin, lalagyan natin ng laman, lalagyan natin ng balat, lalagyan naman natin ng damit. So, I don't think na tatagal pa po ng 1 year, siguro within a year, depende
Teka
na
po.
lang.
Tanong na yung kasi rejoinder siya. Ako sa
Gusto ko lang ibahagi na sa PESA ho, meron ako tayong ino-host ng mga global industry leaders pagdating sa mga manufacturing ng medical devices. So, nandyan ho yung mga gumagawa ng blood monitor na electronic, yung syringe, hindi lang ho yan, pati yung wire na ginagamit para sa mga angioplasty, yung high-tech hospital beds na number 1 sa US. So, ito po, nakapagtalaga na ho kami ng mga 25 billion pesos na investments, providing jobs to 19,000 direct jobs to Filipinos out of these 26 na mga medical devices manufacturers natin, meron din ho kami isang into one company into drug manufacturing. So, pangyari ho, dito sa pinaplano ho natin ng with FDA, yung PharmaDev, hindi ho lahat kayang gawin agad ng mga Pilipino. Although may marami tayong mga galing. Kailangan ho natin ng collaboration between these global industry leaders para sa ganun ho, over time, ma-expose sila sa mga technology at magkaroon din ho tayo ng sarili natin mga develop na mga products, medical products including devices. So yun ho yung na-envision natin sa pamamagitan ng PharmaDev zones. Kaya nga, in-offer natin ang PEZA dahil kami lang ho talaga ang may unique mandate na mag-create ng economic zone. So yung mga namumuhunan, kailangan nila makita yung isang, hindi lang location but yung ecosystem, yung clustering ng mga industries. And it's because of the fiscal incentives that we grant to these investors, not just foreign but including local, so that they can be competitive in the market, whether global or local. Malaking bagay ho ang gagawin ng FDA. Kami ho we will enter into a MOA to make sure na hindi lang ho magaling tayo sa investment promotion but more importantly, investment facilitation. So dyan papasok yung mga guidelines ang tatalaga, lalo na ng FDA sa licensing, registration, to ensure na magiging mabiliso more than the prescribed timelines ng ARTA para lalong tayo makilala sa buong mundo na kayo natin makipagsabayan sa larangan ng pharma and medical devices.
Oh, tatanong ko lang sana, sandali. Yung tungkol sa generics law, ano naging impact ng implementation ng law na ito sa prices ng medicines? Especially dun sa mga deadly diseases. Alam ko, ang medicine for cancer, DOH ang concern.
Hindi sa ano yan, sa DOH. But anyway, Doktor, may binanggit kasi kayo na kasama yung gamot dun sa PharmaDev zone binubuo nyo. Nabasa kong report na yung pinakang magbentang gamot sa sakit ng ulo, yung ini-endorse ng isang artista, sabi, ingat, sa 600 million peso a year na benta, made in Indonesia. Tapos halos lahat ng nabebenta sa lahat ng butika sa Pilipinas, mga 80% dyan ay galing Bangladesh, galing Pakistan, galing India at Indonesia. Bakit ba namatay ang ating pharmaceutical industry? At paano niyo bubuhayin yung yata nga ni Ma'am, ang assignment niya sa PharmaDev zone?
Ano yan, matinding assignment yun eh. Pero wala pa po kasi FDA kasi yung nangyari yan na yun nga, let's say unfortunately, nabawasan significantly yung local manufacturers natin. And nung nagbumuni-muni ako during sa FDA, what I noticed is that the policy is not, yun nga, no? Hindi complied eh. May hirapan sila. When we talk about pharmaceutical industry, it means business also. So, they need marketability, domestic use, yung ginagamit sa Pilipinas, at exportation. So, when I assume the post, I ask them, ano ba naging problema? Bakit kayo nawala? Konti na lang po, konti na lang. And one of their problems is the exportation, yung capability nila to export and the marketability. So, I asked them, ano bang pwede natin gawin? And yun nga po, meron silang sinuggest and we are doing it right now para yung kanilang testing hindi na maging mandatory, depende na lang po doon sa country of origin. Nababawasan ngayon sila ng requirements. Pero without compromising the safety and efficacy. So, isa yung sa aspeto. Yung pangalawa, yeah, of course, ang number one na reklamo sa amin, mabagal eh. Frequently, yeah. Pero we have to categorize po yung mabagal. Kasi, with all fairness, we regulate 4 types of products: food, cosmetic, medical device, and drug. Bawat isa po doon nakanganak. Now, when we talk about food, mabilis po yan. Halos mabilis siya, 45-60 days lang yan. Ang cosmetic, mabilis siya. Medical device, mabilis yan. Ang drug kasi, it has a claim. You depend on it. Kunyari, may ubo kayo, mawawala yung ubo ninyo. And yung claim na yan, it needs a proof, evidence base. Hindi po pwede yun ang porque sinabi nila, pang-ubo yan, hindi na kami kasi yun nga, kinakala namin may efficacy. And it needs clinical trials, no, na may proof science base. So, Mabagal kami, pero we have to categorize kung saan produkto. Kasi po, kung sa drug natin sasabihin nyo mabagal kami, we have also compared the FDA to all the regulators in the country, and we also compare the FDA to other FDA different country. Kasi pag kinumpara po ninyo ang FDA sa driver's license, wala pong safety, efficacy, quality aspect doon. Driver's license po yun. But still, they are regulators. And the FDA is unique, we have SEQ. Now, you will also compare the drug aspect with the Philippine FDA and other FDA of different countries. Other FDA of different countries are processing new drugs and new chemical entity like 3 to 4 years, and the FDA's processing is like 2 years. No? So basically, kami isa sa pinakamabilis po mag-regulate ng drug. Kaso nga lang po, nakukumpara nyo kami sa ibang ahensya, hindi naman po kasi sila. Iba po kasi ang mandato ng FDA. Pero kung kukumparahin nyo po siya sa ibang FDA, isa po tayo sa pinakamabilis sa ahensya. So, yun lang po ang aming
I serve for Sir Teo. Yung tungkol po dun sa pharma dead zones, may mga na-identify na ba tayong locations?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Actually, galing lang ho namin sa Japan last week where we were hosted by Sumitomo Mitsui Bank. I'm not just in a liberty to disclose the names, but these are big companies in Japan that will be registering with PESA, but primarily mga medical devices. So meron po tayo, malakas na po tayo dyan. Yung sa drug manufacturing kasi, nabanggit ko na for the longest time, we were into export-oriented. So ngayon na nandyan na ho yung CREATE, we can now register domestic market-oriented. Pag titignan nyo kasi how is PESA different from BOI, yung BOI under the old regime, may limited incentive sila. So pag nag-graduate na sila doon, papasok na sila sa regular corporate income tax. So definitely mas generous yung incentives ng PESA. So nagkaroon ng tamang pananaw ang gobyerno na we cannot be just be leaning towards export-oriented project. Kasi the best way that we can stimulate yung domestic manufacturing is bigyan mo rin ng equal treatment yung mga domestic producers. So sa ngayon ho, meron na kaming coordination with the likes of Lloyd Laboratories, Unilab, Pascual. Ito na ho yung mga gumagawa ng sarili nilang medicines. And some of these are generic. And based on research, we've seen that there is now a wider acceptance among citizens sa mga generic medicines. Tumataas na po yan. In fact, yung latest report ngayon ng Unilab, it's turning out that they're the biggest in terms of market share sa Southeast Asia. So, if only we're able to host these activities inside the economic zone, which is our intention, nanging pagtulungan nyo tayo, meron na tayong mga na-identify together with FDA. Of course, we will rely on them. Ano ba yung parameters ng pag-register? Ano ba dapat tingnan? Meron na nag-signify sa Bulacan, nandyan sa Laguna, sa Tarlac, meron din sa Cebu. In fact, meron na lumapit sa amin na isang company na already certified as a good distribution practice na logistics company, which is also crucial kasi mangyari sa ibang bansa, pag wala kang ganung certification, hindi ka papayagan na mag-handle ng mga even vaccines, medicine. So, we're now involved in clinical trials. So, and there's a huge market potential for this type of activity. So, yan po ang development, but pag-uusapan mo namin ng FDA, meron mo kami yung technical working group with Secretary Go as the lead para alamin saan ba dapat unang gawin yung unang pharma zone na modern. Hindi lang ito yung dinagay mo lang na economic zone kasi this will be a dedicated pharma zone equipped with all the facilities including cold chain to ensure na magiging viable ang operations, particularly those that will go into drug manufacturing.
Saan po ilalagay yung pharma zone?
Ginawa, may apat na. So, nasa site selection kami, establishment ng criteria. Meron mo sa Laguna, meron sa Bulacan, meron sa Tarlac, meron din sa Cebu.
Bago po ito existing ng ecozone?
Yung masasabi natin na medyo nandyan na, yung sa Bulacan, nangyari dyan sa Malolos, meron ng cluster of pharma dyan, human saka animal. Actually, 1990s pa yun, nandyan na. Nangyari, nung wala na silang expansion area, naisip namin, maglagay kami ng economic zone doon, which is private sector led, adjacent to that, para kung mag-expand sila, available na ho yung area.
May tanong lang po ako dyan, no? Kasi medyo adept po ako dyan sa issue niyan. Ano? Alam niyo naman ang Pilipino, one of the most litigious na tao sa buong mundo. Clean Air Act, ano pa ba dyan? Masisira mo kung contaminate daw yung tubig. Nabasa ko yung ano dyan, yung mga kumukontra na sa India raw, nag-create ng super bacteria kasi yung refuse, yung mga natira doon sa mga ginagawa ng anong tawag sa ano? Sa virus, saka sa bacteria. Eh, natatapon daw doon sa tubig. Kaya nagiging immune doon sa mga natatapon nila mga ano. Ano yung mga pag-iingat na gagawin para
Usually naman, sa mga manufacturers, meron yung mga sinusunod na mga rules and regulations talaga para yung mga wastewater nila maayos na ma-comply talaga. No? So, pagka nagbibigay tayo ng mga license to operate sa mga manufacturers, isa yan sa mga aspeto rin na tinitingnan ng ating mga inspector if they comply with the existing rules and regulations, no, for each and every requirements natin. So, may mga hinahanap tayo mga certificates then na ini-issue ng other government agencies bago ibigay yung license to operate nila as manufacturers.
So yung i-share ko lang yung environmental management is a non-negotiable to PESA. Ito yung pagkakaiba ng nag-cluster ka ng industry sa isang economic zone as opposed to yung mga standalone na it's so difficult to monitor them, especially if they're scattered all over the country. So sa loob ng economic zone, meron nung basic regulation ng DNR na kailangan merong centralized na wastewater treatment. So yung mga sinasabi niyo po, bago po i-discharge po yan, nagkakaroon ng testing yan bago payagan sila mag-discharge. So sa haba ho ng panahon natin dito, nakita na ho natin yung iba-ibang technology sa wastewater. Meron ho yung Canadian na thermal oxidation sa liquid waste. Meron ho yung Danish na tinatawag nilang nanofiltration. Magugulat po kayo, meron ng process ngayon tinatawag bioremediation. Ginagamit mismo ang bacteria para kainin din yung bacteria sa mga wastewater. So, available po ito, best practice. Ma-ensure po natin na pag nagkaroon tayo ng pharma zone, on all fronts, including environment, we will be protected.
Ikumpletuhin ko lang yung concept ng pharma zone, pharma dead zone. So, most of you will ask, ano yung role ng FDA doon? So basically, we are regulators. The PESA will determine the location. The PESA will determine everything, all economic aspect of it. We will, as of now, we are all streamlining our policy para ikarga namin doon sa napipinto pharma dead zone. So, prolongation of CPR. Yung sinasabi, ang question, DG, sabi mo, mabagal yung drug eh. E paano po, parang stark contrast sa sinasabi nyo na pabibilisin natin parang ang labo naman. No? I would like to categorize it. As of now kasi, the regulation, yung lagi kong binabanggit ko, AO67 at Administrative AO67, we treat everything as it like a new drug. Iisa lang yung application niya, new drug. But that AO67 is way back 1980. As of now, 1980 pa yung pinagsasandalan natin ng regulation ng CPO. That's why we are driven for innovation of policy. We are on the verge of drafting it at final na po siya. Para pag dumating na po yung konsepto ng pharma dead zone, maayos na yung regulation. We don't treat everything as a new drug. So, iilan na lang po yung mabagal. DG, bakit mabagal pa rin? We were talking about new chemical entity. Yan po yung mga bagong tuklas na mga gamot. Siyempre po yan, kinakailangan ng meticulous process. Pero, let's categorize everything. If it pertains generic drug, antibiotics, paracetamol, kaya po, since time immemorial na. So, iba na rin po ang regulation. No? So, bibilis na yun, which is those are the products that has been consumed by many Filipino people. So, Yung bagal, yes, andun pa rin yung bagal, pero categorical na. Hindi na siya pangkalahatan. And it will augment also our manpower. Tanda nga, lagi pong problema namin sa FDE, yung manpower. Lahat po kayo gusto nyo magnegosyo, lahat po kayo mag-a-apply sa amin. But our people, for us to hire people, it needs at least 3 to 4 months. And for our people to resign, it needs only 1 week. So disproportional siya. So DG, anong ginagawa mo para doon? Well, to address the backlogs, prolong mo yung CPR. Once na process yung documentary requirements, we will only stick with the post-marketing surveillance. Yun yung pagkamonitor ng mga produkto sa merkado. So kunyari, nasa isang pharma denso na po, yung manufacturer, regardless if it is foreign or local. At mahaba po ang LTO nila. Meron na po silang stability na negosyo. Yung produkto nila, mabilis na essential medicine, sa essential drug. Pag na-approve namin yung mga new drug, imagine niyo 5 years ang CPR to 10 years. So basically, continuous po ang influx. That's the solution because we cannot compromise talaga the safety, efficacy, and quality. Kasi because that is our mandate. But we can cope up on a different aspect. Ito na po yung ginagawa ng FDA. Kaya nga sabi namin nga, bagong Pilipinas, bagong mukha ng FDA. So ito na po yung mga napipintong polisiya namin.
To DJ Manga, i-clarify lang namin sir, kailan kayo ang target yung mag-start na mag-certify dun sa mga areas? And follow up, meron din ba kayong tina-target na areas sa Mindanao?
Well, essentially kasi if it's an economic zone, it can actually host even pharma-related. Kaya lang ang mangyari, ang gusto ni Presidente at sang-ayon na rin sa napag-usapan namin ng FDA, gusto talaga natin ng branding na pharma park. Iba kasi ang dating na may clustering ng industry. So, yung sa Mindanao, wala pa ho. Pero yung kung may tatanong nyo kung meron nang nag-apply sa amin, meron nang na-undergo ng evaluation. Yung sa Tarlac, nakafile yan sa amin. Yung Bulacan, ready na. So, hinahantay ho namin yung sa Laguna. So, so nandyan ho kami sa proseso yun, gagawin ho namin yung guidelines with FDA. At mabanggit ko rin ho, yung collaboration natin with FDA actually dates back 2014 pa. And we're happy with the green light treatment extended by FDA, which we will even strengthen as we enter into a new MOA, so consolidating all these MOAs. Because ang purpose talaga ho niyan, bahala na rin, we take the view from the President in saying na yung pharma is a strategic industry. Naglabas ho siya ng EO18, yung tinatawag niyang providing green lane for strategic investments. So talagang naiiba ho yan. Kaya nga tinawag na special economic zones. Kasi nandyan talagang concentration ng industries. We imagine 60% ng total exports, 17% ng GDP. So, malaking bagay na meron ho kaming joint facilitation with FDA. In fact, nag-offer ho kami, we can do pre-processing. Ang PESO kasi, dahil ginagawa na ho namin to, we need to engage with other agencies because we cannot do this alone. Sa DNR, yung processing ng ECC nila, sabi namin, para mapabilis, nag-beef up kami ng mga experts namin, mga environmental engineers. We told them we will do it within 7 days, pre-process it, endorse the application to you. If within 15 days you are unable to return it to us, it is deemed approved. So ganyan ho ang engagement po natin para jointly committed kami sa pagpatupad ng green lane facilitation ng mga applications ng companies natin that are regulated by FDA.
For follow-up, ano ba yung mga incentives na may mga companies na pasok sa pharma dev?
Okay.
So,
Tinignan natin yung fiscal incentives and we are guided by the Strategic Investment Priority Plan na i-publish na po yan. Yung pharma will fall under Tier 2. So ang gusto sabihin yan, yung range na 4 to 7 years na ITH, easily nandun sila sa level ng 6 to 7 years of ITH. And then after that, they will graduate to plus 10 years of special corporate income tax. Yan yun pag export-oriented sila. Pag domestic market naman, after the ITH period, they will graduate to 5 years of enhanced deductions. So in both cases, may enjoy po nila yung tax and duty-free importation, zero VAT rating, prompt facilitation of their shipments.
Hi, good morning. Christian from GMA DCWB. Quick question lang. Kailan natin posibleng maramdaman yung sinasabi natin na stability sa supply, pagbaba ng presyo ng gamot or devices with this pharma debt?
Actually, it's not only the pharma debt. We're already doing it right now. Actually, the one aspect of it is only the pharma debt. But it encompasses like 60% of it. Why I said that, or bakit ko po nasabi yan? Kasi po last time, 2 weeks ago, when we have the press conference in the Malacanang press corps, we already issued yung pangako po namin sa Presidente na shortening yung evaluation process ng generic drug. Actually, 2 weeks ago pa lang po yun, kapipirma po pa lang. 3 weeks ago, nag-meeting kami ng Presidente, after 1 week, nilabas na po namin. So, ano pong ibig sabihin nun? When we say generic drug, it's composed of essential medicine. We are talking about antibiotics. We are talking about paracetamol. We are talking about metformin. We are talking about anti-diabetic, anti-hypertensive. And those will be evaluated in a shorter span of time. As long na kung ang originating country na strict na regulating authority. Ibig sabihin ng SRA po, FDA po yun ng ibang bansa. Basta stricto sila as declared by WHO. Pag apply po sa amin, kinokopya na lang po namin yan, dinidita para na-evaluate, then wala. Approve na siya. Bakit po? In-evaluate na doon yun eh. Ba't pa namin kinakailang evaluate? Tinignan lang namin how they evaluate it. Kung paano ba nila, kung strict pa din pag-regulation nila. So, doon pa lang po sir, sa tanong mo sir, ngayon pa lang po, kasi kaka-publish lang, we wait for 15 days kasi we need to publish it in a general news of general newspaper of general circulation. Sorry. After 15 days, it will be effective. Most probably, it will loosen or it will decrease our backlogs. Although it has no retroactive effect, yung mga prospective na application, mas mabilis lang yan. So kung mararamdaman natin yung drug accessibility aspect, ngayon pa lang, siguro more or less mga 3 to 4 months eh. Depende sa mag-apply kasi 45 days na nga lang siya as we go on. Then, here comes the Pharmadexone. When we do the Pharmadexone plus the incorporated na nagawa na po namin, papasok na po yung rule of economics na supply and demand. Although we cannot determine the prices po, but we can provide the drug accessibility. Sa FDA, yun po yung mga hakbang na ginagawa natin.
Kaya, hanap lang.
Sir, kay Dr. Sam. Meron pa bang tinitingnan sir yung FDA na another round of recommendation sa BRR na ibaba tayo?
Continuous po ito. Hindi lang po siya hindi po natatapos doon sa nakaraang issuance namin. Kasi as long na you apply for your product and it will be considered under na pasok po sa create law, i-update po namin yun. So ito po, para sasabihin na natin, as long na may bago pong produkto na papasok sa category ng create law, may bago na naman pong listahan kami issue. Ito ang continuous process.
Sir, natutuwa po ako sinasabi ninyo na malapit lang sa mga presyo ng mga generic drugs. Nagtataka nga po, bakit yung produkto ng Lunilab sa Indonesia, ba't mura doon, hindi pwede tayo dito sa Pilipinas? Ba't mas mura yun? Mura kasi yung produkto ng yung Unilab
Sa Indonesia.
na product sa Indonesia. Dito, hindi pwedeng dalhin samantalang kinokopya lang naman natin yung WHO. Ba't yun?
Kasi yung factory ang gumagawa.
Kumbaga sa yung factory doon sa Unilab ng Indonesia, ba't hindi pwedeng dalhin dito yung...
Para lang ba yung Jesse?
Siguro sir, kaya mas mura sa Indonesia kasi may Unilab ho tayo sa Indonesia. May manufacturing plant ang Unilab sa Indonesia. So siguro with the pharma dev,
Ito na po yun, papunta na po tayo sa aspect.
baka pwede ho natin i-encourage sila to have their own manufacturing plant dito. Pwedeng ganun din po.
Basically, the importation is already doing it right now. No? Pero yung kaya bumaba yung presyo nila, dahil yung planta nandun mismo sa kanila. So yung target natin po dito sa Pilipinas, yung planta papunta naman sa atin.
Po, actually, yan na po yung intention. Ito yung objective natin dito sa pharma. Na-explain ko po kanina na yung Unilab, maaaring may factory sila sa Indonesia and for which they are probably enjoying fiscal incentives. So sa ngayon, under the CREATE, we will now allow them to locate inside the zone, do their own manufacturing. Pag nabigyan mo sila ng fiscal incentives, wala na akong tatalo doon kasi landed na yung products. Pag linabas nila sa economic zone, hindi mo na kailangang i-import. So obviously, mas mababa ang presyo ng drugs for all Filipinos.
Baka po naman sa bandang huli, magaya din sa ibang factory lumipat dito yan. Kasi ang paggawa ng gamot, may luto yan eh. Maliban sa pagkasama ng chemical, baka po tumatak na naman, napakamahal ang kuryente natin. Kaya mas mura pa rin gawa ng Indonesia.
Hindi po, yun nga gusto kong liwanagin sa lahat kasi madalas yan ang pinoproject sa media eh. Pero you will wonder, how come many investors still flock to the Philippines? Kasi kung ang argument is, pinakamataas ang presyo ng kuryente, di sana wala nang pumunta mga namumuhunan. So paano namin ina-address sa PESE yan? So, una, karamihan sa manufacturing ho, yung share ng electricity sa cost of sales nila, hindi ganong kataas. Okay? So, hindi yung ganong kataas. Pangalawa, we follow yung distributed energy system. Ang gusto sabihin yan, iniikayan namin yung mga investors na mag-set up, mag-embed ng sarili nilang power generation distribution sa loob ng economic zone. Yan, subok na ho yan. Kasi pag generate nila, they make it closer to the load center, that's devoid of transmission charges. So imagine niyo kung walang piso o 2 piso sa loob ng economic zone. Yung iba, wala nang distribution charge, wala nang system loss. Yung rate natin is enough to approximate yung mga subsidized power rates in Southeast Asia.
Okay.
Yes, so tatanong ko lang, actually to prompt the question ko, it goes to both of you, yung sa liberalization na sinasabi ninyo for the pharma industry, yung pagka-streamline, does that include yung mga raw materials na ginagamit sa pagkepweng ng droga? One, okay? Kasi yun ang importante, yung raw materials.
Sagutin ko yun rin.
Are you liberalizing that, making it
No.
easier for the people in the pharma industry? to
You're
avail
talking
that?
about the active pharmaceutical ingredients.
Opo.
When it is being import, kasi as of now po, wala po tayong manufacturing ng API sa Pilipinas. So basically, we rely heavily on import. Now,
Yes.
if there is a certification for the API, usually it intends to go to the manufacturing of the pharmaceutical itself. Kasi, tama po yung punto ninyo, minsan nagagamit sa illegal na droga. So dapat we have to strict about it. That for that purpose of API, pharmaceutical ingredient, it is being imported in the Philippines, it solely goes to the manufacturing of the pharmaceuticals applied here. At hindi po yun mababago, ganun pa rin po yun.
May checks and balances po yung
Yes po.
pharma industry.
Yeah,
sir.
sagutin ko lang yun. Actually, yan na ho yung protocol sa loob ng economic zone. Anything that has to do with production-related materials, any locator can bring in tax and duty free. Sa amin ho sa PESA, hindi man kailangan humarap sa customs, electronic lodgement ng import permit. Pagdating ng kargamento nila sa customs, hindi pwedeng buksan sa port, diretso ho yan sa loob ng economic zone. But, yung facilitation, we bring on board, kung mayroong regulation ng FDA, nandiyan ang PDEA, Dangerous Drugs Board. So, yung facilitation ng import permit, kailangan po sila, critical sila para mapabilis yung releases ng shipments.
Opo. Second question po, ito tungkol doon sa issue ng FDA with regards to yung mga ginagamit na pumapasok na beauty products, yung mga skincare, yung mga whatever, yung mga pang-itim ng whitening. Ano ba nangyayari sa regulation? Do you have a policing system that you follow para
You're talking about cosmetics, sir. You're talking about
Cosmetico po.
Okay.
Opo.
Kasi ibang konsepto ng cosmetics sa drug. When we say cosmetic, it depends on the marketing authorization holder sa ibang bansa. Usually, it is an import.
Di ba isa lang po yun? Yung
MAH yun po. For example, I will give a one brand of company, brand X. Yung brand X po na yun, yung tinatawag na MAH. Pag in-import mo sa Pilipinas, meron po distributor dito. So yun ang ini-import. Okay po. Yung tanong po ninyo, anong police power? Sir, ang FDA po doesn't involve the custom regulation. Wala po kami support. That involves po the under the power of the Bureau of Customs. We only regulate it, and once it is in the market, we do post-marketing surveillance. But yun po, we are a bird of a law. So we are constrained on it. If you want to amend it, then it's subject to the legislative power not ours.
Are you talking to legislators regarding this?
Basically, there's no need for it because there is a custom already. Kasama na yun, DTI and custom.
You're not in tie with them, eh? You need a policing system?
Pagpasok po kasi ng produkto dito, dapat ang number one requirement is they have the LTO and the CPN, Certificate of Product Notification. And the customer already knows that. So basically, yung implementation of it, pagpasok ng produkto, hindi na po kami yun. Kasi as long na may CPN yung isang produkto at meron pong LTO, matik yun, meron sila. Ngayon, kung may pumasok po doon, I don't know kung ano po yung sinasabi. Baka siguro, smuggling ba yan? Pinag-usapan natin. Hindi na po kasi sa amin yun. It doesn't involve us already. Pag pumasok po siya ng bansa at na-report po unregistered, sa cosmetic kasi, you cannot say it is counterfeit. Kasi bakit? Yung MAH po na yun, kapag ito ang nakakuha ng produkto yun, pwede rin makakuha ng isa na to. So, hindi siya katulad ng drug na isa lang. So, basically, mahirap din sabihin, ay, counterfeit siya or unregistered yan. Kasi bakit? Paano kung dalawa po yung merong agreement sa isang marketing authorization holder? So, yung paglipa na po ng unregistered product, yeah, I can see it personally in my own eyes, but the mechanism of it, I don't know because it's not my mandate.
Are you talking to legislators regarding this? Yung mga pitfalls na ikita nyo?
When they ask us, usually ito rin po naman ang sagot ko. So basically, ginagawa naman po itong custom company ng trabaho or
Ito, hindi naman kung masyadong pinupunta niyan, kung masyadong maghihigpit naman tayo sa regulation, baka naman ang maapektuhan yung kami na mga consumer. Kasi alam ko yan, ang gusto ng mga pharmaceutical companies, sila lang ang authorized na mag-import ng sa isang gamot. Pag ang iba ay nagdala galing sa ibang bansa, ang gusto niya ito rin na counterfeit. Mas iisang planta ang pinagmulan. Kasi mawawalan daw sila ng kita.
Okay,
Ayaw magbanggit ng brand ng gamot.
Okay, wait lang po. When we say po when we say drug po, it's always either manufactured or imported. You're talking about importation po.
Hindi po, ganito po. Halimbawa po, isang company A, nagbebenta siya ng gamot sa sakit ng puso. Dito. Merong isang Pilipino bumili sa India, iisang factory, iisang laboratory ang pinagmulan, iisang brand, dinala dito, gustong ipahuli ng pharmaceutical company kasi counterfeit daw.
Okay po, ganito po. The agreement between the distributor and the marketing, itong manufacturer sa ibang bansa, it's between their contractual agreement. Labas po ang FDA doon. Either you are a sole distributor or it's under multi-distributor agreement. Okay, fine. Next, yung sinasabi po ninyo na bumili sa Indonesia, same product, okay po. I would like to define what is the meaning of counterfeit. Okay. Ang counterfeit po, ito po ang mga example ng counterfeit. Produkto A, produkto B, parehas ng pangalan, pero mali yung pakete. Counterfeit. Produkto A, produkto B, parehas ng pakete, yung laman, pababa dun sa original. Counterfeit. So yung sinasabi po ninyo, it's not a counterfeit. Okay po? So yun po, yung rehistro po niya, it will depend on the distributor here. So it's not a counterfeit, it's a wrong terminology. And the counterfeit is under the counterfeit law. 9711 of the FDA is purely for the unregistered product. So magkaiba po yung atake na.
Are you, final lang, meron ba kayong mga feelers na sinasend sa mga supposedly yung mga hindi out of the yung mga nagmamarket ng kanilang produkto na wala pa sa hanay or within the fold of your blessings, ika nga, no, of the FDA. Meron ba kayong feelers na pinadadala sa kanila to encourage them to become legal or at least to accredit themselves sa FDA?
Ako'y ano daw. Give us
ako
some
na.
more doon sa ano, sa tanong
Hindi,
ko.
mahirap yung tanong niya. Ako na, yung tanong mo na lang.
Okay.
Halimbawa yun kung sa India na gamot, dinala rito, in-import, same na ano, may certified naman na galing doon sa kumpanyang, ano, yung, halimbawa sa puso. Dito kasi mahal yun para sa puso eh. Paano bang papasok yun dito kung sasabihin counterfeit?
Ang ibig niyo ba sabihin, sino ho yung magpapasok? Individual.
Halimbawa, individual o kaya maliit na kumpanya.
Kailangan pa rin ho nilang mag-comply sa FDA rules. So,
Ang FDA
importer pa rin po sila dapat.
Pero yung FDA rules medyo malabo eh. Bakit counterfeit kung magkaibang package eh, same naman yung laman? Bakit counterfeit kung malaki yung package yung isa maliit? Eh, parehas lang eh. O, halimbawa sa Unilab, kung ako dito sa produkto ko, parehas sa Indonesia, let's say kung ano man yun, para sa hubo ano. Siyempre, iibahin ko yung kulay o yung ano ko dito, di ba? Dapat sasabihin nyo sa Unilab, ganito parehas sa Indonesia, para mura. Di ba? Ang laki ng diferensya, mas mura sa Indonesia kaysa sa Pilipinas, and yet pareho ang ingredient, ginagawang counterfeit dahil lang sa magkaiba yung kulay ng package o kaya mas maliit yung isa.
Okay. You're telling me it's about pure paracetamol but different packaging, right? Okay. We are relying on good faith. That they do that because they want only paracetamol to be included here, right? Now, it will differ the packaging. Okay? Fine. I got your question. But how about this? What if kung ang laman po ng mismong packaging hindi na paracetamol? How can we regulate that?
Galing sa the same company, manufacturing it eh.
Okay. We need to understand the juridical personality. If it is regulated or if it is registered in Indonesia, you don't have domestic law. That is, do you have a regulated? Kaya nga po tayo may mga SEC registration. They must have a juridical entity here. Bakit po? Ibigyan kita ng example, sir. Paano po kung yung produkto na yon na in-import ninyo, eh yung pala, eh nakakapaog? Sino pong hahabulin ng Pilipino? If it is not registered, if it does not have an LTO, sino pong hahabulin namin businessman? Sino pong idedemanda namin? Kawawa po si Wana at Wana. Napaog siya dahil we realize it's already paracetamol. Sino pong idedemanda namin? Wala. Because they do not have a juridical entity here and we cannot sue because it is not incorporated here in the Philippines.
So sa mata ng batas, they should not exist kasi wala silang juridical entity.
Sa mata ng batas po, wala po tayong actionable document o we don't have a locus standi to how to file.
May tanong din dito.
Si Dan.
I'm sure you guys are regularly go through social media, no? Punta ka lang sa Facebook. There's so much advertising that promises cures for loss, for hearing loss, for erectile dysfunction, and all these products are directly marketed. In other words, if you apply for a sale or for a product, they sell it to you directly. Padadala lang yan sa isang carrier. Is the FDA involved in the process?
Okay po, yung sinasabi po ninyo is false advertisement. Narehistro po sa amin for specific indication and yung advertisement is mali. Ibig sabihin, sabi niya, ang rehistro sa kanya is for anti-diabetes, ang rehistro niya pampapogi. Nakarehistro, nakalagay doon. So mali po yung advertisement. Okay po. Admittedly, yan po ay mandato ng FDA. Okay? But the problem is when I assume the post, we don't have policy for advertisement. So ngayon po, ginagawa namin po yan. Pero hindi po doon kami natatapos. We coordinated naman po as a bad aid solution when we do the policy with the NBI and the CIDG. The problem is, okay po, since po online yan, di ba po? Pag iniimbestigahan na with the cybercrime at pagbibigay na kami ng summon, walang opisina kami malukit. Kasi they just,
Again, that lack of juridical entity.
No, but you can go directly, for instance, Meta, di ba? And complain to them and to stop, to
Yeah,
prohibit these products
meron po
from being
kami, meron po kami
advertised.
regular na ginagawa po gano'n to tell the Facebook, tell the online shoppers to take down the post. But of course, kung yan po ay talagang gusto nilang gawin yan, mahirap din po kasing, kumbaga, aalisin nila, bukas-bukas, maglalagay naman po sila.
Ewan ko lang kasi siguro kasi I'm a 72-year-old man na kaya ang lumalabas tayo sa algorithm, puro tungkol sa erectile dysfunction. I guess na-target nila yung mga yung prospective customers. O kunwari, yung maitim ang kutis, pinapadala nila, skin whiteners, stuff like that.
Okay po.
Hindi, paano yun? Basta...
Sir, opo. Okay, yung kanina pa ba sa before advertisement, I already explained what is happening already. So we need to summon them, we need to give a judicial notice or judicial, whatever legal proceeding that it, but wala sila
But
opisina.
have you had a specific case where you solved the complaint? Have you had somebody complain against this?
Ako, actually po, we have 4 ngayon po na iniimbestigahan namin. Hindi namin pwede sabihin kasi baka may pag sinabi namin, magta-tag down na naman sila na post, we do another round. So, but hindi naman pwede, dapat ganito tayo. Out. So, dapat po, unang ginagawa namin, which is ginagawa na po namin, is to do the policy for advertisement.
May nangyari na ba? So, investigation niyo, may nangyari na?
Yung isa po kasi, may nag-complain po kasi na isang celebrity. Hindi na po natin pwede sabihin, wag po, itatago ko po siya for confidentiality purposes. But the problem is, nung iniimbestagahan na, nag-take down ng post, tapos wala na po dun sa opisina niya yung mismong product. So, back to zero na naman po kami. So, ganun po yung, kung makasabi ko nga, one of the interview, masyadong balanse masyadong madulas. Ang hirap mahuli. So, another thing of it, okay po, lahat po ng nire-regulate ng FDA, kung ano po yun ay aming na-aprobahan, yun lang po yung safe, efficient, and quality. We cannot do this alone, sir. We cannot do this alone. We need a help from the consumer. We need help from the people. We need help from the media to educate the people. That's why we are educating the people that those products who are approved by the FDA, those have only the therapeutic value. Now, if you go with it, since alam nyo naman po kung ano lang i-approve namin and then you push with it, of course, that's your business. Pero we need a partnership between the consumer and the
Idagdag ko lang po in addition to yung explanation ni Doc Sam. Hindi ho kaya ng FDA ito by themselves, alone. So, mangyari, nakikipagtulungan din ng DTI sa DOH. Meron ng consumer protection sa DTI. Kaya ho, meron sila mga Bureau of Product Standards, yung PS mark na requirement. So, that's on the trade side. Meron din nung panukala ang legislators natin na mag-impose ng digital tax. Kasi mangyari yung social media, it's a seamless environment. Ang hirap i-regulate. So kung required na sila mag-register ng business nila, pati yung posting nila sa social media, may impose na rin ho yung digital tax. So alam ko, tinitingnan na po ito ng government.
Hindi mo na, bago.
Meron pa nga raw question dito.
Sige. Sir, identify yourself lang po muna bago magtanong.
Good morning, everyone. PV Fortaleza po from the Travel and International Maritime Magazine. Sir, ang nakikita ko lang po pong concern between sa mga gamot natin is yung branding. Diyan po kasi nagkakaroon ng problema. Meron po akong alam na isang gamot na vitamins pero dalawang brand. Carried by dalawang brand. Tapos meron din generic. It's all the same thing. So, paano niyo po ito na monitor? Ayoko na lang pong banggitin yung vitamins. Pero available siya sa dalawang brand.
Yung vitamin C, kunyari for example, vitamin C, brand A, brand B.
Pwede. Branded siya, pero dalawang brand. Tapos meron pa
siya dalawang brand. As long as
So
they are
among
both
the three,
registered, sir.
iba ang presyo.
As long as they are both registered, sir, they are legally can dispense medicines. Pero yung pricing po kasi, syempre, of course, it depends on them. Depends on, kasi we cannot tell them, lower down your price. The FDA cannot do that. Wala kami mandato to take down the prices.
So wala po kayong ginagawang to control the price
Hindi po
kapag mga
amin.
consumer product
Hindi
na
po
ginagawa ng DTI.
Hindi po kami. Isa amin.
Tapos another concern ko po, there are some medicine or they claim medicine and tinatawag na food supplement with FDA approval, pero nakalagay sa baba naman, no therapeutic claim. Bakit po ninyo papayagan ito pagkatapos meron kayong ilalagay na gano'n? Hindi, pag wala po yun, di sana po wag na rin yung palabasin sa market. Kasi nakalagay pa sa box no therapeutic claim.
Those kasi po are food supplement.
Eh ganun, bakit po ganun?
Opo. That's food supplement. If they have no therapeutic claim, basically, they will undergo the category of food supplement. Kapag yan po yung may therapeutic claim, papasok po yan ng drug.
So, food supplements hindi kailangan ng
Legal naman po yan.
FDA approval. Hindi kailangan ng FDA approval.
Kailangan pa rin po.
So ano po behind the scene nun? Bakit kailangan pa rin FDA approval?
Sandali po,
Ganun.
sir, sa FDA kasi, sinabi nila kanina, food and drugs. Pag may approved therapeutic claim, nag-go-fall sa category ng drug. Since yung tinatanong nyo, sinabi nila, tumatak sa supplement, food. So meaning, talagang dapat may nakasulat, no approved therapeutic claim. Kasi hindi siya gamot.
Kasi once they put that claim, they must undergo the process of that.
Pero dumaan po sa inyo yun.
Of course.
Salamat po.
Di ba yung halimbawa, gamot sa puso, nalagyan ko ng gagawin kong long different therapeutic trend. Gagawin ko ng suple para matilit. Pwede yun.
Pwede, is that possible? Halimbawa, gamot sa puso, tapos lalagyan ko ng gagawin kong food supplement, di pwedeng inumin yun. Kasi lalagyan lang ng no approved therapeutic range. Kasi ito, kasama ko dito si Makoy.
Basically,
Gagawa ng
we
kumpanya.
only process what you apply, sir. But we have post-marketing surveillance. Hindi po makakaligtas sa amin yan. Pagdating sa market yan, titest namin yan, makikita namin yung mga produkto yan.
Kaya parang resulta, no?
Opo. At i-revoke namin yung CBR na yan.
Yan, hindi na makatayo, anong gamot ang kailangan dyan? Yan ang dysfunction.
Tanong ko to sa ete ng PESA. Pardon the ignorance of my question, hindi naman ako magaling dito. Pero may na rin matanong. Natatandaan ko nung 1970, bago pa ako reporter, merong ulat ng World Bank. Sabi ng World Bank, problema rito sa Pilipinas, nagkaroon tayo ng mga industriya sa mahabang panahon na nanatiling baby industries dahil sa incentive system. Walang mga takdang panahon, tapos ang tambak ng incentive, hindi naman talaga umunlad yung mga industriya na yan, yung ulat na yan. Ngayon, natatandaan ko pa rin yan, dahil alam mo, pag sinabi mong PESA, kakambal niyan, incentive system eh. Meron ba tayong sistema para magkaroon ng review na institutionalize ba yung sistema na yan para yung nare-revisa yung mga incentive system, maiwasan yung sitwasyon na ang mga industriya na nanatiling baby industries.
Thank you for raising that. I think yung scenario na tinitingnan natin was in the 80s. Ito yung kapanahonan ng EFSA. So, nagkaroon ng radical transformation from the EFSA to PESA model. So, hindi lang ho sa incentive system, but sa global market mismo, hinitayan yung fragmentation ng mga industries. Kasi yung mga global industry players, they cannot concentrate yung activities nila in one economy. So sa madaling salita, nakinabaw ang Pilipinas because of the fragmentation. Yung sa incentives po yan, this is the reason why pinasa ang CREATE. And no less than the World Bank was our advisor. Sila nga nagsabi na i-limit yung incentives natin. Yan, pag tinignan mo across ASEAN, mas generous pa yung binibigay na ng incentives. So, kagaya niyan, sa Vietnam, 30 years of income tax holiday, binigay sa Samsung. Yung walang batas yan, kung anong naisipan nilang gawing batas, pwede na lang gawin. In our case, we go through legislation. So, bumawi tayo, but I think we are more prudent because under the CREATE, ang sinabi, for anyone investing $1 billion and up, the President is authorized to grant even a longer tax period for 40 years. So, sa ganong simpleng sagot ko po sa inyo, masasabi po natin, ang fiscal incentives is meant to compensate for all our shortcomings. Sino ang maglo-locate sa atin kung sa hanay ng infrastructure, sabihin mo ng kuryente, nakakaangat ang ibang bansa? So they really capitalize on this. Isang rason kung bakit hanggat sa ngayon, marami ho tayong nahihikayat ng mga namumuhunan. Imagine 60% ng total country's exports come from our locators alone. The moment you receive yung fiscal incentives, that's going to be a signal of exodus for all our foreign direct investors. Kasi hindi mo ibigay sa atin, punta lang sila sa ibang bansa, makukuha din nila eh. At lalo na yan, justified yan kung export market oriented sila. Gusto sabihin, ang labanan nila sa international market, hindi man nga sila bumibenta sa domestic market.
May tatanong lang ako kay is PESA in favor of yung lifting na restrictive economic provisions sa Constitution?
Well, pinag-aaralan po namin yan. Nasa Kongreso na rin po yan. But kami kasi, as an investment promotion agency, even while we are with government, we are duty bound to support yung industries natin. Kasi whether we like it or not, yung industries are the ones generating jobs. Hindi sila nagre-rely sa gobyerno, private sector led. So, nakikita namin kung sa tingin nila makakabuti, hindi lang sa negosyo nila, but pati sa bansang Pilipinas, sa gobyerno natin. Halimbawa, isang classic example dyan, yung aquamarine. Yung aquamarine resources natin, limited sa Pilipinos. Sa ibang bansa, pinapayagan na yung foreign investors participation. Gawa nga ng wala tayong technology, wala tayong kapital. Untap, marami pang untap na resources sa aquamarine, paggawa ng pharmacology, paggawa ng pagkain, yung mariculture na tinatawag. So, kami in favor kami. In fact, that's in keeping with the objectives of yung Blue Resources Act. Yung education city, yung education, sa ibang bansa, nakikita na natin yung mga Ivy Leagues, nandyan na sa ibang bansa. Sa atin, ayaw nating payagan. If we will liberalize that, that would be a strong source also, hindi lang sa investments, but pati sa technology transfer. So, malaking bagay ho yan sa promotion natin ng R&D and innovation.
Parang ayaw yata ang papasukin ng mga foreign educational institutions. Sabi nila, may influence sa yung educational system.
Na tingnan natin yung education city sa Qatar, yung Biopolis sa Singapore. Ito na yung mga bagong sistema nila para yung pag-ikayat nila ng foreign educational system. Aangat to ang Pilipinas. Actually, ang mga estudyante yan, karamihan, mga foreigners din eh. Pero yung may mga kakayahan, at ilang beses meron din silang CSR, pwede rin nila payagan yung mga deserving Filipinos to enroll in their educational system. So malaking bagay ito sa pag-angat ng kapasidad ng Pilipino.
Para hindi lang sa TikTok nag-aaral ng mga bata. May tanong dito sana. Sa GMA. Sige po.
Sir, quick follow-up lang regarding sa pharma episode. Ano sir yung inaasahan natin mag-generate na jobs from this? At saka gaano kalaki yung inaasahan na bambag sa economy? Okay.
Yung hindi pa ho natin ready ni masasagot kasi ang ecozone process, dalawang stages. Yung ecozone development, ang purpose lang talaga niya is to provide a land that will host yung mga pharma-related activities. So, sa ngayon, yung area pa lang dinesignate natin. Pag dumating yung point na available na yung economic zone, that's the time we expect to accept yung mga applications ng locators that will go into manufacturing. So wala pa tayo doon. Although marami na nag-signify, gaya na nabanggit ko, although these are into mga medical devices, with or without our pharma parks, darating sila, pero even better kung meron na tayong dedicated pharma parks and them zone.
Last two questions.
Sir, tanong lang po ulit. Regarding incentives po, kasi way back po, nagbibigay ng incentives, Board of Investment. And then, pag sa registered ka ho sa PESA pa, meron bang another set of investment? Incentives?
Meron na tayong uniform menu of incentives under CREATE. So, hindi lang BOI, PESA, kasama na yung ibang investment promotion agencies, Freeport, kagaya ng Clark Subic. Iisa na ang menu of incentives natin.
So, pinigisa na from BOI to the...
Oo, may pagkakaiba lang ng konti, kagaya pag nasa BOI yung kayo, wala kayong VAT exemption. Wala silang zero VAT kasi ang premise doon, karamihan ng locators nila are domestic market oriented.
Sige po. Salamat po.
So, isa na lang sigurong tanong. Meron pa.
Ano yung doon sa Pharma Dev Zone? Ano yung target number 1 natin? Medicine o yung mga medical equipment?
Basically, sabay po eh. Well, pinag-determine naman po kung sino ang talagang mauuna na magbigay ng willingness to do the manufacturing. But the policy are already being streamlined na po for future na kapag na-implement.
Doon po sa PESA. So from EPSA naging PESA kayo. Pero magkaiba man sila ng saklaw. Pareho pa rin ang tinatarget natin, labor intensive. With this Pharma Dev Zone, ang target na ngayon yung mas value intensive.
Tama po yan, kasi ang very nature ng pharma, medyo nasa higher value po yan. So, yung kakayanan ng mga Filipino workforce should be in terms of yung ability nila to engage in sophisticated activities. So, skill set na yung iba. So, pati yung investments we call it strategic kasi ito yung mga knowledge base ng mga economy na tinatarget po natin.
So from drone to brain.
Sir, last na lang po. Ano po ang relationship ninyo, PESA, to the local government? Kasi previously, there were some complaints ng mga investor na okay sila mag-locate sa isang lugar pero nahihirapan silang to deal with the local government. So paano po ang relasyon ninyo ngayon sa
Ito po,
local government?
magandang tanong mo yan kasi ilang beses po tayo natatanong dyan. Unang-una, hindi yung enclaves ang mga economic zone. So for any economic zone to be declared as such, kailangan ng LGU endorsement. Mag-i-endorse ang LGU but the moment an area is declared by the President as an economic zone, carve out na ho yan sa LGU. Kasi ang purpose, kailangan magkaroon ng one-stop shop. Isa lang, gobyerno dapat sa loob ng economic zone. Kasi yun ang madalas complaints sa atin, yung regulatory incoherence. Iba-iba ang gustong mag-regulate, nahihirapan yung mga
Correct
investors
po.
natin.
So, hindi pwede ang LGU, mag-impose ng taxes.
Yun na nga. So, sa Create More ngayon, na panibagong batas na pinapanukala ni Congressman Joey, kung meron mang tax collections due to the LGUs, ang gusto niya, PESA na ang mangolekta at ibigay na lang sa LGUs para maiwasan yung interactions with them. Mangyari kasi, maraming pwede mangyari pag pumapasok na eh. Pag nag-regulate, hindi lang sa business permit, papasok ang fire, kung ano-ano na.
Totoo po yun.
Oo, lahat ng concessions, papasok. So, dapat hayaan lang muna natin na makabuelo yung mga locators natin. Kasi yun ang ina-expect nila as an investor, hindi lang sa Pilipinas, maging sa ibang host countries.
Teka po, ano na po pala nangyari dun sa mga mom and pop stores? Sa Subic, sa Clark, at sa iba pang PESA. Yung mga coffee shop doon na sabi ng batas, exempt sila sa VAT kasi nagkikater sila dun sa activities ng mga export companies. Pero niyari ng BIR sa IRR.
Yan ang problema ho, yan ang malaking pagkakaiba kasi wala kami mga ganong types of activities. We're not into duty-free shops. We do not allow importations of tax and duty-free cars. Wala ho kami mga oil refinery. Yan ang pagkakaiba ho ng PESA sa iba.
Sir, isa pa huli. I'm sorry pero... Kasi po, sa mga the recent press con ng ARTA, they are now prioritizing investment. Ngayon po, ang naobserbahan ko, palagi ang target nila is the local government unit. So, ano po ba talaga nakikita ninyong hindrance ng LGU sa mga foreign investor natin?
Mangyari yung ARTA kaya pinasayan para talaga to cater to the general public. Yung mga may problema sa gobyerno, pero ang nangyayari ngayon, ang pinagpupulong ng ARTA, ikaw ang mga gobyerno. So, yan ang kailangan ayusin mo natin. Kaya nga si Presidente nagpatupad ng EU18. Ang sabi niya mismo, replace yung red tape with red carpet. And this message should accrue to all, should apply to all agencies. So sabi namin ni Doc Sacate, itong pagtutulungan namin sa MOA pagtayo ng Pharma Park, sabi yun namin, kung may prescribed timeline ang ARTA, kailangan mas mabilis yung tayo dyan. Gaya ng ginagawa namin sa PESA, dahil we're going into digital transformation, paperless at cashless transaction system na kami ngayon. Hindi na yung mga manual na papel para walang dahilan na sabihin delays because of manual processes.
Kasi may campaign po ngayon ng Pilipinas eh. Yung to ease doing business in the Philippines. Yun po ang tinututukan natin, including the DTI, and then also under din ng ARTA po yan. So, I'm sure na nasa inyo din po yun.
Well, yung sa amin, kasi hindi nga pwedeng you operate on your own, wala kang collaboration. So merong sumabaw kami dito sa project ng USAID. Ang purpose really is how to get our apps together with the LGU. So electronic intervention, may platform kami, data sharing, saka yung ease of doing business. So kami yung namumuno dyan para yung mga host LGUs natin ay makasabay po sa atin sa paglalahad ng ating red carpet treatment para sa investors.
Salamat po.
Okay. On that note, I'd like to thank yung resource persons natin today. Director General Theo Panga ng Philippine Economic Zone Authority, Director General Dr. Samuel Sacate ng FDA, at si Dr. Maria Cecilia Matienzo ng FDA din. Maraming salamat sa inyo lahat sa inyong pagdalo at